Hey guys, it's Miss Slobodian and Winnie back reading some more Wonder. Last video we jumped into part 3 of the book, which was Summer, and we learned a little bit more about Summer. So we kind of found out why she started sitting with Augie at lunch, and she kind of said she started off feeling bad for him, but then she really genuinely started to like him and got to know him. She then went to a Halloween party with the cool kids. And they basically said, you could be one of us, you could be a cool kid, but you can't hang out with Augie anymore, to which she called her mom and asked her to pick her up. So I personally really like Summer so far. I'm assuming you guys probably do too, but let me know in the comments below if you have an account what you think of Summer so far. So we are going to continue reading part 3, which is Summer's perspective today, and we'll learn a little bit more. So I am going to start, put Winnie down, maybe she'll have a nap. I am going to start on page 124, and the title of that chapter is November. The next day at school, I told Savannah I had eaten some really bad Halloween candy and gotten sick, which is why I went home early from the party. She believed me. There was actually a stomach bug going around, so it was a really good lie. I also told her that I had a crush on someone else that wasn't Julian, so she would leave me alone about that and hopefully spread the word to Julian that I wasn't interested. She, of course, wanted to know who I had a crush on, so I told her it was a secret. August was absent the day after Halloween, and when he came back, I could tell something was up with him. He was acting so weird at lunch. He barely said a word and kept looking down at his food when I talked to him, like he wouldn't look me in the eyes. Finally, I was like, Augie, is everything okay? Are you mad at me or something? No, he said. Sorry you weren't feeling well on Halloween. I kept looking for Boba Fett in the hallways. Yeah, I was sick. Did you have the stomach bug? Yeah, I guess. He opened a book and started to read, which was kind of rude. I'm so excited about the Egyptian Museum project, I said. Aren't you? He shook his head. His mouth was full of food. I actually looked away because between the way he was chewing, which almost seemed like he was being gross on purpose, and the way his eyes were kind of closed down, I was getting a really bad vibe from him. What project did you choose? I asked. He shrugged, pulled out a little scrap piece of paper from his jean pocket, and flicked it across the table at me. Everyone in the grade got assigned an Egyptian artifact to work for the Egyptian Museum Day, which was in December. The teachers wrote out all the assignments down on tiny scraps of paper, which was put into a fishbowl, and then as kids in the grade got to take turns picking out of the fishbowl in the assembly. So I unfolded Augie's little slip of paper. Oh, cool, I said, maybe a little overexcited because I was trying to get him psyched up. You got the step pyramid of Saqqara. I know, he said. I got Anubis, the god of afterlife. The one with the dog head? It's actually a jackal head, I corrected him. Hey, you want to start working on our projects together after school? You could come over to my house. He put his sandwich down and leaned back in his chair. I can't even describe the look he was giving me. You know, Summer, he said, you don't have to do this. What are you talking about? You don't have to be friends with me. I know Mr. Tushman talked to you. I have no idea what you're talking about. You don't have to pretend is all I'm saying. I know Mr. Tushman talked to some kids before school started and told them they had to be friends with me. He didn't talk to me, August. Yeah, he did. No, he did not. Yeah, he did. No, he didn't. I swear on my life. I put my hands in the air so he could see I wasn't crossing my fingers. He immediately looked down at my feet, so I shook off my Uggs so he could see my toes weren't crossed. You're wearing tights, he said accusingly. You can see my toes are flat, I yelled. Okay, you don't have to scream. I don't like being accused of things, okay? Okay, I'm sorry. You should be. He really didn't talk to you? Augie! Okay, I'm really sorry. I would have stayed mad at him longer, but then he told me about something bad that happened to him on Halloween, and I couldn't stay mad at him anymore. Basically, he heard Jack bad-mouthing him and saying something horrible behind his back. It kind of explained his attitude, and now I knew why he's been out sick. Promise you won't tell anyone, he said. I won't, I nodded. I promise. I won't ever be mean to you like that. Promise. he said, and we put Pinky swore. Okay, so the next chapter is called Warning. This kid is rated R, and it is on page 127. I had warned Mom about August's face. I had described what he looked like. I did this because she's not always good at faking her feelings, and August was coming over for the first time today. I even sent her a text at work to remind her about it, but I could tell from the expression on her face when she came home after work that I hadn't prepared her enough. She was shocked when she came in the door and she saw his face for the first time. Hi, Mom, this is Augie. Can he stay for dinner? I asked quickly. It took a second for my question to even register. Hi, Augie, she said. Of course, sweetheart, if it's okay with Augie's mother. While Augie called his mother on his cell phone, I whispered to Mom, stop making that weirded out face. She had the look like she had just watched the news and something horrific had happened. She quickly nodded, like she hadn't realized she was making the face, and was really nice and normal to Augie afterward. After a while, Augie and I got tired of working on our projects, and we went to hang out in the living room. Augie was looking at pictures on the mantle, and he saw a picture of me and Daddy. Is that your dad? He asked. Yeah. I didn't know you were, what's the word? Biracial. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah. He looked at the picture again. Are your parents divorced? I've never seen him drop you off or anything. Oh no, I said. He was a platoon sergeant. He died a few years ago. Whoa, I didn't know that. Yeah, I nodded, handing him a picture of my dad in his uniform. Wow, look at those medals. Yeah, he was pretty awesome. Wow, Summer, I'm sorry. Yeah, it sucks. I really miss him a lot. Yeah, wow. He nodded, handing me back the picture. Have you ever known anyone who died? I asked. Just my grandmother. And I don't even really remember her. That's too bad. Augie nodded. You ever wonder what happens to people when they die? I asked. He shrugged. Not really. I mean, I guess. Don't they go to heaven? That's where my grands went. I think about it a lot, I said. I think that when people die, their souls go to heaven, but just for a little while. Like that's where they see their old friends and stuff, and kind of catch up on old times. But then I actually think their souls start thinking about their lives on earth. Like if they were good or bad or whatever. And then they get born again as brand new babies in the world. Why would they want to do that? Because then they get another chance to get it right, I answered. Their souls get a chance to have a do-over. He thought what I was saying and then nodded. Kind of like when you get a makeup test, he said. Right. But they don't come back looking the same, he said. I mean, they look completely different when they come back, right? Oh yeah, I answered. Your soul stays the same, but everything else is different. I like that, he said, nodding a lot. I really like that, Summer. That means in my next life, I won't be stuck with this face. He pointed to his face when he said that and batted his eyes, which made me laugh. I guess not, I shrugged. Hey, I might even be handsome, he said, smiling. That would be so awesome, wouldn't it? I could come back and be this good-looking dude and be super buff and super tall. I laughed again. He was such a good sport about himself. That's one of the things I like most about Augie. Hey, Augie, can I ask you a question? Yeah, he said, like he knew exactly what I wanted to ask. I hesitated. I've been waiting to ask him this for a while, but I've always lost the guts to do so. What? He said. You want to know what's wrong with my face? Yeah, I guess if that's okay to ask. He shrugged. I was so relieved that he didn't seem mad or sad. Yeah, it's no big deal, he said casually. The main thing is I have something that's called mandibulofacial dysostosis, which took me forever to learn how to pronounce, by the way. But I have this other syndrome thing that I can't even pronounce. And these things just kind of morph together into one big super thing, which is so rare, they don't even have a name for it. I mean, I don't want to brag or anything, but I'm actually considered something of a medical wonder, you know. He smiled. That was a joke, he said. You can laugh. I smiled and shook my head. You're funny, Augie, I said. Yes, I am, he said proudly. I am cool beans. Okay, so the next chapter is called The Egyptian Tomb, and it is on page 131. But basically, just from that last chapter we read, I just kind of wanted to point out that thing about Summer saying that people come back, but their souls come back, but their physical appearance is completely different. And Augie seemed to really like that, because I think he knows that on the inside, he's a great guy. He's a great kid. He's funny, he's smart, he's sweet, he's kind, but it's his physical appearance that always drives everyone away, which is really sad, and that's not the way it should be. But to him, that would be probably ideal, to have a completely different face but still be himself. So I think that really stood out to him when she said that. So yeah, the Egyptian tomb is on page 131. Over the next month, August and I hung out a lot after school, either at my house or at his house. August's parents even invited Mom and me over for dinner a couple of times. I overheard them talking about fixing Mom up on a blind date with August's Uncle Ben. On the day of the Egyptian Museum exhibit, we were all really excited and kind of giddy. It had snowed the day before. Not as much as it had snowed over Thanksgiving break, but still, snow is snow. The gym had turned into a giant museum with everyone's Egyptian artifact displayed on the table with a little caption card explaining what the thing was. Most of the artifacts were really great, but I still have to say, I think mine and August were the best. My sculpture of Anubis looked pretty real, and I had even got real gold paint on it. And August had made his step pyramid out of sugar cubes, which was 2 feet high and 2 feet long, and he had spray painted the cubes with a kind of a fake sand paint or something. It looked so awesome. We all dressed up in ancient Egyptian costumes. Some of the kids were Indiana Jones type archaeologists. Some of them dressed up as pharaohs. August and I dressed up like mummies. Our faces were covered except for 2 little eye holes and 1 hole for the mouth. When our parents showed up, they all lined up in the hallway in front of the gym. Then we were told that we could go to our parents and get each kid to take his or her parent on a flash tour through the gym. August and I took our mums around together. We stopped at each exhibit, explaining what it was, talking in whispers, answering questions. Since it was dark, we used our flashlights to illuminate the artifacts while we were talking. Sometimes, for dramatic effect, we would hold the flashlights under our chins while we were explaining something in detail. It was so much fun. Hearing all of these whispers in the dark, seeing the light zigzagging around the dark room. At one point, I went over to get a drink from the water fountain. I had to take the mummy wrap off my face. "Hey, Summer," said Jack, who came over to talk to me. He was dressed like the man from the Mummy. "Cool costume." "Thanks. Is that other mummy August?" "Yeah." "Hey, do you know why August is mad at me?" "Uh-huh." I nodded. "Can you tell me?" "No." He nodded. He seemed bummed. "I told him I wouldn't tell you," I explained. "It's so weird," he said. "I have no idea why he's mad at me all of a sudden. None. Can you at least give me a hint?" I looked over at where August was across the room, talking to our moms. I wasn't about to break my solid oath that I wouldn't tell anyone what he overheard at Halloween, but I felt bad for Jack. "Bleeding scream," I whispered in his ear, and then walked away. Okay, so that's an interesting chapter, and that is the end of part 3, Summer's chapter. So we learn a little bit about Summer. She seems like a really, really great person, a really good friend to Augie, and that's really what we learn in that part. And the next part, can you take a guess? The next part is Jack. So now we're going to learn more about Jack. Augie clearly stopped talking to Jack after that whole Halloween incident, and it's been a couple of months, so we'll see kind of what Jack's thoughts are on the whole thing. Jack does not know that Augie knows what he said, by the way. So right now he has no idea why Augie's mad at him, but I think he just figured it out. So we are on part 4, and it starts on page 134, and it is titled The Call. So in August, my parents got a call from Mr. Tushman, the middle school director, and my mom said, maybe he calls all the new students to welcome them. And my dad said, that's a lot of kids he'd be calling. So my mom called him back, and I could hear her talking to Mr. Tushman on the phone. This is exactly what she said. "Oh, hi, Mr. Tushman. This is Amanda Will returning your call." Pause. "Oh, thank you. That's so nice of you to say. He's looking forward to it." Pause. "Yes." Pause. "Yeah." Pause. Oh, sure. Long pause. Oh, Pause. Well, that's so nice of you to say. Pause. Sure. Oh, wow. Oh. Super long pause. I see, of course. I'm sure he will. Let me write it down. Got it. I'll call you after I had the chance to talk to him. Okay? Pause. No, thank you for thinking of him. Bye-bye. When she hung up, I was like, what's up? What did he say? And Mom said, well, it's actually very flattering, but kind of sad too. See, there's this boy who's starting middle school this year, and he's never been to a real school environment before he was homeschooled. So Mr. Tushman called to ask some of the lower school teachers to find out who they thought were some of the really, really great kids coming into 5th year. And the teacher must have told him you were an especially nice kid, which I knew, of course. And so Mr. Tushman is wondering if he can count on you to sort of shepherd the new boy around a bit. Like, let him hang out with me, I asked. Exactly, said Mom. He called it being a welcome buddy. But why me? I told you, your teachers told Mr. Tushman that you were the kind of kid who's known for being a good egg. I mean, I'm so proud of you that they think of you so highly. Why is it sad? What do you mean? You said it was flattering, but kind of sad too. Oh, Mom nodded. Well, apparently this boy has some sort of, I guess there's something wrong with his face or something like that. I'm not sure. Maybe he was in an accident. Mr. Tushman said he'd explain a bit more when you came to the school next week. School doesn't start till September. He wants you to meet the kid before school starts. Do I have to? Mom looked a bit surprised. Well, no, of course not, she said. But it would be a nice thing to do, Jack. If I don't have to do what I said, I don't want to do it. Can you at least think about it? I'm thinking about it and I don't want to do it. Well, I'm not going to force you, she said. But at least think about it some more, okay? I'm not calling Mr. Tushman back until tomorrow. So just sit with it and think. I mean, Jack, I really don't think it's that much to ask that you spend a little extra time with some new kid. It's not just that he's a new kid, Mom, I answered. He's deformed. That's a terrible thing to say, Jack. He is, Mom. You don't even know who he is. Yeah, I do, I said. Because I knew the second she started talking to him that it was that kid named August. Interesting. So he knew him already. That's interesting. We didn't know that. So this is called Carvel, and it is on page 136. I remember seeing him the first time in front of the Carvel on Amsforth Avenue when I was about 5 or 6. Me and Veronica, my babysitter, were sitting on the beach outside the store with Jamie, my baby brother, who was sitting just inside his stroller facing us. I guess I was busy eating my ice cream cone because I didn't even notice that the people who sat down next to us. Then at one point, I turned my head to suck the ice cream out of the bottom of my cone, and that's when I saw him, August. He was sitting right next to me. I know it wasn't cool, but I kind of went, ugh, when I saw him because I honestly got scared. I thought he was wearing a zombie mask or something. It was the kind of you say when you're watching a scary movie and the bad guy like jumps out of the bushes. Anyway, I know it wasn't nice of me to do that. And though the kid didn't hear me, I know his sister did. Jack, we have to go, said Veronica. She had gotten up and was turning the stroller around because Jamie, who had obviously just noticed the kid too, was about to say something embarrassing. So I jumped up kind of suddenly, like a bee had landed on me, and followed Veronica and zoomed away. I could hear the kid's mom saying softly behind us, okay guys, I think it's time to go. And I turned around to look at them one more time. The kid was licking his ice cream cone, the mom was picking up his scooter, and the sister was glaring at me like she was going to kill me. I looked away quickly. Veronica, what was wrong with that kid? I whispered. Hush, boy, she said in an angry voice. I love Veronica, but when she got mad, she got mad. Meanwhile, Jamie was practically spilling out of his stroller trying to get another look as Veronica pushed him away. But Veronica, said Jamie, the boys are being very naughty, said Veronica as soon as we went further down the block, staring like that. I didn't mean to, I said. Veronica, said Jamie. Us leaving like that, Veronica was muttering. Oh, Lord, that poor lady. I tell you, boys, every time we should thank the Lord for blessing us. You hear me? Veronica, what is it, Jamie? Is it Halloween? No, Jamie. But why is that boy wearing a mask? Veronica didn't answer. Sometimes when she was mad about something, she would do that. He wasn't wearing a mask, I explained to Jamie. Hush, Jack, said Veronica. Why are you so mad, Veronica? I couldn't help asking. I thought this would make her angrier, but actually she shook her head. It was bad how we did that, she said. Just getting up like that, like we just saw the devil. I was scared for what Jamie was going to say, you know. I didn't want him saying anything that would hurt that little boy's feelings. But it was very bad, us leaving like that. The mom knew what was going on. But we didn't mean it, I answered. Jack, sometimes you don't have to mean to hurt someone. You understand? That was the first time I ever saw August in my neighborhood, at least that I remember. But I've seen him around ever since then, a couple of times in the playground, a few times in the park. He used to wear an astronaut helmet sometimes, but I always knew it was him underneath the helmet. All the kids in the neighborhood knew it was him. Everyone has seen August at some point or another. We all know his name, though he doesn't know ours. And whenever I've seen him, I tried to remember what Veronica said, but it's hard. It's hard not to sneak a second look. It's hard to act normal when you see him. Okay, I'm gonna read one more chapter, and it is Why I Changed My Mind on page 139. Who else did Mr. Tushman call? I asked Mom later that night. Did he tell you? He mentioned Julian and Charlotte. Julian? I said, ugh, why Julian? He used to be friends with Julian. Mom, that was like in kindergarten. Julian's the biggest phony there is, and he's trying so hard to be popular all the time. Well, said Mom, at least Julian agreed to help the kid out. Gotta give him credit for that. I didn't say anything because she was right. What about Charlotte, I asked. Is she doing it too? Yes, Mom said. Of course she is. Charlotte's such a goody two-shoes, I answered. Boy, Jack, said Mom, you seem to have a problem with everybody these days. It's just... I started... Mom, you have no idea what this kid looks like. I can imagine. No, you can't. You've never seen him. I have. It might not be who you're thinking it is. Trust me, it is. And I'm telling you, it's really, really bad. He's deformed, Mom. His eyes are like down here. I pointed to my cheeks. And he has no ears. And his mouth is like... Jamie walked into the kitchen to get a juice box from the fridge. Ask Jamie. I said, right, Jamie? Remember that kid we saw in the park after school last year? That kid named August? That one with the face? Oh, that kid, said Jamie, his eyes opening wide. He gave me a nightmare. Remember, Mommy? The nightmare about the zombies last year? I thought that was from watching a scary movie, answered Mom. No, said Jamie. It was from seeing that kid. When I saw him, I was like, ah, and I ran away. Wait a minute, said Mom, getting serious. Did you do that in front of him? I couldn't help it, said Jamie, kind of whining. Of course you could help it, Mom scolded. Guys, I have to tell you, I'm really disappointed by what I'm hearing here. And she looked as mad as she sounded. I mean, honestly, he's just a little boy, just like you. Can you imagine how he felt to see you running away from him, Jamie? Screaming? It wasn't a scream, argued Jamie. It was like, ah! He put his hands on his cheeks and started running around the kitchen. Come on, Jamie, said Mom angrily. I honestly thought both of my boys were more sympathetic than that. What's sympathetic, said Jamie, who was only into second grade. You know exactly what I mean by sympathetic, Jamie, said Mom. He's just so ugly, Mommy, said Jamie. Hey, Mom yelled. I don't like that word. Jamie, just go get your juice box. I want to talk to Jack alone for a second. Look, Jack, said Mom as soon as he left, and I knew she was about to give me a whole speech. Okay, I'll do it, I said, which completely shocked her. You will? Yes. So I can call Mr. Tushman? Yes, Mom. Yes, I said yes. Mom smiled. I knew you'd raised to the right occasion, kiddo. Good for you. I'm proud of you, Jackie. She messed up my hair. So here's why I changed my mind. It wasn't so I wouldn't have to hear Mom give me a whole lecture. And it wasn't to protect this kid Augie from Julian, who I knew would be a jerk about the whole thing. It was because when I heard Jamie talking about how he had run away from August going, ah, I suddenly felt really bad. The thing is, there are always going to be kids like Julian who are jerks. But if a little kid like Jamie, who's usually a nice enough kid, can be that mean, then a kid like August doesn't stand a chance in middle school. Okay, so that is the end of that chapter, and that is the end of my reading for today. My question, just from what we've read so far about Jack's chapters, are what are your thoughts on Jack? You probably had your own thoughts about Jack when we were in August's part, but have your thoughts changed now that we're reading from Jack's perspective? And if they've changed, how have they changed? Positively, negatively, have they stayed the same? You can just think about it in your head, or you can comment below if you have an account. But have they changed? Because I think there is definitely a shift from Jack in August's perspective at the beginning of the book to Jack now in his own point of view. I think there's quite a difference there. Whereas with Summer, I think there wasn't much of a difference. That's my opinion. You might have a different one, but what do you think so far? And we are about halfway done, as you can kind of see where my flap is. Maybe a little less than halfway, but almost halfway done. So that's awesome. I really hope you're enjoying it so far, and you're really getting into it and getting into all the different characters that are being talked about and introduced in the book, because there are a lot. Winnie is sleeping here beside me. She wants to say bye. You're very tired. So thank you again for watching, you guys. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have a great rest of your day. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.